Hello and welcome back to a brand new Big 14 Football Podcast hosted by me, SlimmDa KID. The 2023 college football season is in full swing and so is Big Ten football. Week 3 is now officially in the books and the Big Ten was full of big wins and even bigger losses this past weekend. One Big Ten matchup in Week 3, several non-conference games, plus a couple top 10 matchups took place this weekend in the Big Ten. Here's a quick look back at the final scores from around the Big Ten in Week 3. Maryland defeated Virginia 42-14. Number 7 Penn State defeated Illinois 30-13. Louisville defeated Indiana 21-14. Wisconsin defeated Georgia Southern 35-14. Number 18 Duke defeated Northwestern 38-14. Number 17 North Carolina defeated Minnesota 31-13. Rutgers defeated Virginia Tech 35-16. Number 8 Washington defeated Michigan State 41-7. Number 24 Iowa defeated Western Michigan 41-10. Number 6 Ohio State defeated Western Kentucky 63-10. Nebraska defeated Northern Illinois 35-11. Number 2 Michigan defeated Bowling Green State University 31-6. And Syracuse defeated the Purdue Boilermakers 35-20. Big stats were put up this weekend across the Big Ten. Several quarterbacks had big days statistically, as well as several wide receivers and running backs. One non-conference Heisman Trophy candidate quarterback put up over 400 yards passing on a Big Ten team this past weekend. We will announce who that is in a few moments. Big 14 football has highlighted some of the more outstanding players from Week 3, plus Big 14 will announce its Week 3 Player of the Week award, awarded to the top statistical player in the Big Ten. Quarterbacks across the Big Ten were gunning the ball downfield all day, as well as one quarterback from the Pac-12. That quarterback from the Pac-12 was Michael Penix Jr., and he posted over 400 yards passing against the Spartans of Michigan State. 3 Big Ten quarterbacks had over 300 yards passing on the day. Quarterback H. Card from Purdue had 323 yards passing in a losing effort to Syracuse Saturday, while quarterback Kyle McCord from Ohio State and quarterback Tunga Viola from Maryland both posted over 300 yards passing on the day in winning efforts Saturday afternoon. A couple Big Ten running backs had standout days in the conference. Running back L. Williams from Iowa led the Big Ten in rushing this past weekend with 145 yards rushing Saturday. Minnesota running back D. Taylor posted 138 yards respectively for the Big Ten West. In the Big Ten East, running back K. Monagal from Rutgers had 143 yards rushing on the day, with Michigan running back Blake Corum posting 101 yards rushing. With all the quarterback action this past weekend, somebody has to catch all those passes. Wide receiver A.R. Yassine from Purdue had 114 yards receiving against Syracuse, while wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr. from Ohio State led the Big Ten with 126 yards receiving. Defense wins championships, and the Big Ten had its fair share of defensive standouts in Week 3. Defensive back T. Still from Maryland had a big day against the Virginia Cavaliers. 4 solo tackles, 2 passes defended, and 2 interceptions on the day, while defensive back Jay Henderson from Minnesota had an even better day with 9 solo tackles, 1 tackle for a loss, 1 pass defended, and 1 interception in a losing effort to the North Carolina Tar Heels. Big 14 is now proud to announce its Week 3 Player of the Week. Ohio State quarterback Kyle McCord is the Big 14 Player of the Week, going 19 out of 23, or completing 82.5% of his passes, posting 318 yards passing with 3 touchdowns and 0 interceptions against the Hilltoppers of Western Kentucky. Congratulations, Kyle McCord, on winning the Big 14 Week 3 Player of the Week. Football is a contact sport in every sense of the word. With contact comes injuries, and the Big Ten is no stranger to injuries. Big 14 has sifted through the internet to give you the most up-to-date injury report we can provide going into Week 4 football action. Here is an updated list of players with injuries going into Week 4 in the Big Ten. Illinois has 0 injuries to report going into Week 4. Indiana is reporting 3 players on IL this week, 2 offensive, 1 defensive, all listed as day-to-day with undisclosed injuries. Iowa has 8 players on IL, 2 are out indefinitely. The other 6 are listed as day-to-day with undisclosed injuries. 10 Maryland players are on IL in Week 4, mostly on offense. 2 are out for the season. 8 players are listed as day-to-day with undisclosed injuries. Michigan has 13...
You what?
That's right, 13 players reporting on IL this week, a healthy mix of offensive and defensive players. All are listed as day-to-day with undisclosed injuries. 16...
You what?
That's right, 16 Spartans are on IL this week. The Huskies beating Sparty up this past Saturday pretty good. 1 player is out for the season. The other 15, both offensive and defensive, are listed as day-to-day with undisclosed injuries. Minnesota is reporting 8 players on IL, mostly on defense. All are listed as day-to-day with undisclosed injuries. Nebraska only has 2 players to report this week, both on offense, and both are listed as day-to-day with undisclosed injuries. 9 Northwestern players to report on IL in Week 4, mostly offensive players. All are listed as day-to-day with undisclosed injuries. Ohio State is reporting 8 players on IL, mostly on offense. 2 are done for the season. The rest are listed as day-to-day with undisclosed injuries. 8 Nittany Lions are on IL this week, mostly on offense. All are listed as day-to-day with undisclosed injuries. Purdue has 3 players on IL, 2 offensive and 1 defensive player. All listed as day-to-day with undisclosed injuries. Rutgers has 7 players on IL in Week 4, mostly offensive. All are listed as day-to-day with undisclosed injuries. 10 Badgers are on IL with a mix of offensive and defensive players. All are listed as day-to-day with undisclosed injuries. Big Ten Conference play begins, and a few matchups will actually take place in Week 4. Several Big Ten teams have already started in-conference play for the 2023 season. 1 team kicked off the year against a Big Ten opponent. Here is a look ahead for Week 4 and their slate of games coming up this weekend, plus Big 14 predictions for every matchup. Wisconsin, 2-1 on the year, takes on Purdue, who's 1-2 on the year. Wisconsin wins this game easily, 31-17. Rutgers, who's undefeated at 3-0, takes on number 2 Michigan, who's also undefeated. U of M wins easily, 33-10. Louisiana Tech, who's 2-2 on the year, plays Nebraska, who's 1-2 on the year. Nebraska wins 35-14. Florida Atlantic takes on the Fighting Illini. Both teams are 1-2 on the year. Illinois wins in a close one, 24-20. Maryland, who's undefeated at 3-0, takes on Michigan State, who's 2-1 on the year. Maryland wins this one easily, 38-17. Akron, who's 1-2, plays Indiana, who's 1-2. Indiana wins in a close matchup, 28-24. Minnesota, who's 2-1 in 2023, takes on Northwestern, who's 1-2. Minnesota wins easily, 31-10. Number 24, Iowa, who's undefeated at 3-0, plays the number 7 Nittany Lions of Penn State. Penn State wins this one easily, 35-20. And number 6, Ohio State, who's undefeated at 3-0, travels to South Bend and takes on the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame, who come in at number 9 and are 3-0 in 2023. Notre Dame wins in a 1-point game, 28-27. Heisman hopefuls were on display this past weekend, and a few players solidified their Heisman Trophy candidacy, while a couple Heisman hopefuls didn't do themselves any favors. Here is Big 14's updated Heisman Trophy candidate list going into Week 4. The number 1 Heisman Trophy candidate is USC quarterback Caleb Williams with a 91.9 quarterback rating, 878 yards passing on the year, 78.6 completion percentage with 13 total touchdowns. His next opponent, Arizona State. The number 2 Heisman Trophy candidate is Washington quarterback Michael Penix Jr. with a 94.2 quarterback rating, 1,332 passing yards, completing 74.3 of his passes. 12 touchdowns total for 2023 with an 11.8 yards per pass attempted in 2023. His next opponent, California. The number 3 Heisman Trophy candidate is Notre Dame quarterback Sam Hartman, an 89.4 quarterback rating with 1,061 passing yards, completing 71.1% of his completions with 11.8 yards passing per attempt. 15 total touchdowns for the young man from Notre Dame in 2023. Next up, Ohio State. The number 4 Heisman Trophy candidate is Florida State quarterback Jordan Travis, 87.9 quarterback rating with 729 yards passing on the year, completing 63.1% of his passes. 9 total touchdowns for 2023. His next opponent, Clemson. The number 5 Heisman Trophy candidate is a tie, or at least that's what I have. Colorado quarterback Shedeur Sanders has an 80 quarterback rating with 1,251 passing yards, completing 78.7% of his passes. 11 total touchdowns for the young man from Colorado. His next opponent is Oregon. The quarterback who's tied with Shedeur Sanders is Texas quarterback Quinn Ewers with a 76 quarterback rating, 740 passing yards, completing 60.7% of his passes. 10 total touchdowns in 2023 has the Texas loyal singing his praises. Next up, Baylor. The 2 Heisman hopefuls I have on the outside looking in are Oregon quarterback Bo Nix and Michigan quarterback J.J. McCarthy, with the latter, Michigan quarterback J.J. McCarthy, really hurting his candidacy, throwing 3 interceptions this past weekend. That draws to a conclusion, Big 14 football. Be sure to join me, SlimmDa KID, next week as we recap Week 4 and take a look ahead to Week 5.